What's going on, people? I go by the name of the universe, and I just want to talk a little bit about astrology and energetically what's going on in the world. So far, it's only July, and it's been over 300 mass shootings, right? So that should tell you that the vibrations that's out here is is something to deal with. You feel me? Um, it's not good. It's not good at all. I seriously encourage meditation. I seriously encourage meditations. All these killings, people not willing to accept reality. People are not willing to put the work in. People are not being patient. People are impulsive. They want it right now. Um, and I'm gonna do a chart reading on today's planetary transits that's going on right now will help explain why it feels like that today. You know, but today specifically, I want to talk about YNW Melly's natal chart, but not just talking about whether or not I believe he did it based on my personal beliefs, um, or whether or not I think he gonna beat the case. I'm gonna keep that to myself. But I'm gonna look at it energetically, right? I'm gonna look at his vibration. I'm gonna look at that snapshot when he was born. I'm gonna look at that snapshot on that day on October 26, 2018, when his so-called best friends got murdered. So, if we talking about Melly, right? He was born on May 1st, 1999, right? As we look at his chart, we'll see. So, he was born on May 1st, 1999, right? May is the fifth month, and the five is the number of beauty, art, and lifestyle. He was born on the first, and the first is the number of self. This is a combative number since the number one is best represented by the sign Aries, right? He was a Taurus, which is stubborn and fixed earth sign. When this sign is evolved, it's beautiful, right? They get in that bag, they hustling, they stable, right? But when it's unevolved, it's all about personal comfort, right? It's selfish, it don't listen. His Taurus sun was in conjunction with Saturn, which restricts anything that it touches, right? This combination pushes the energy of being materialistic, have trouble with authority figures, and being resistant to change. With this aspect, your self-worth depends mostly on your financial situation, right? Uranus and Neptune was in Aquarius. This brings sudden changes and unpredictable behavior, right? It could lead to disagreements and conflicts due to unrealistic expectations, right? It could also be detachment, being emotionally distant, inconsistent with commitment, right? Uranus is at home in Uranus in Aquarius, right? And Aquarius rules over being different. It rules over being unique, or what some would interpret as weird. Neptune is deep and delusional and dreamy. With these aspects alone, Melly was in his own world, and his belief system was odd. So he was capable of doing things most people not capable of doing, right? Let's just say these aspects were in his seventh house of relationships. He would definitely remove his friends if they did something that didn't benefit him or did something that went against his viewpoints, you know what I mean, or his agenda, right? Pluto is in Sagittarius. Pluto is intense, secretive, and dark, and Sagittarius is adventurous and enthusiastic, known to take risks and overdo things or go too far. With these aspects together, it tells me he did the unthinkable that night, right? Since Pluto rules over death, power, and fear, combined with Sagittarius, it deals with his mind, your beliefs, and education. So if you was close to Melly, he could take your book and write the end of it the way he want to write it. You know what I'm saying? And you wouldn't even get a chance to read it, right? Mars and the moon was in Scorpio, right? Mars being masculine and the moon being feminine. This combo leads to mood swings, being vindictive and aggressive. And then just go back to just being kind, like nothing ever happened, right? Um, it's been said that Melly had bipolar schizophrenia since he was a kid. He'd been on medication for that, right? Mars is about action and combat, and Pluto is power and control. So it's clear that depending on which personality you encountered, you probably didn't want to deal with none of them, right? He was tweaking, right? Since the moon is all about how you feel, he was capable of slaughtering anyone and just revealing just how dark Pluto can be at a low vibration, right? I think that's his most important aspect, that Mars and Scorpio connection there, right? That's very telling, because Scorpio is death and transformations, and Mars is fighting and war, right? He had Venus and Gemini, right? And that gives him even more bipolar energy. Gemini rules over duality and communication. So this leads to telling on yourself. Having murder on his mind, that's crazy, right? Because if you got murder on your mind, right? Those of y'all, I don't know, y'all probably secret killers in y'all mind. I'm sure most of y'all keep it to yourself, right? That ain't nothing you just be telling people. You know what I'm saying? You fuck around and go through a RICO or conspiracy or whatever the fuck. Some shit just need to stay to yourself. Okay? Right? So, Venus ruling over relationships, but with Gemini, it tends to stay on the surface, right? Avoiding deep emotional connections. So although he had his so-called best friends tatted on his face, I seriously doubt he loved them brothers, right? So we also see Saturn was in conjunction with the sun. So that's already like wanting to be the leader, right? Wanting to kind of like run shit, right? Saturn rules over Capricorn. They run shit, right? Saturn rules over wisdom. So it's like thinking thinking you want to be the boss. So that's automatically you're going to have issues with other people that want to take that role. You want to take that role, right? So as we look further on the day of his murder, which was 10/26/2018, right? But let's go a few hours back, right? Let's go to the 25th, right? So if you look at the transits, you can see Uranus was opposition with Mars, which is war and unpredictability. We also see Pluto, the planet of death and transformation, squared Mercury, which is your intellect. Pluto squares Jupiter, which is excessive or indulgence, being overconfident. He was too bold. He really thought he can get away with that, right? He put a lot of thought into it. Also, the Sun square Neptune, which is kind of losing grasp of reality and not knowing how to respect boundaries. Basically not knowing where his needs and desires ended and where his so-called best friends' needs and desires began, right? To be real, none of us really know play by play how everything worked in that situation on that night, right? We don't know. But those of us that can read energy, we know he did it, right? So I just wanted to look at this from an astrology perspective. Now, keep in mind, when it comes to astrology, it's a spiritual practice, right, of energy, right? But energy, you know what I mean? Control is an illusion, right? I'm gonna talk a lot about that, how control is an illusion, and we really just need to learn how to deal with the energy around us so we can make better choices, because life is about choices, right? So I hope this interpretation was helpful to y'all on y'all journey of understanding the spiritual practice of astrology. I am the universe. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Remember to meditate and stay present. Know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna see y'all in the next vibration.